tweets and things like that, and that's interesting. BC Conservatives are complaining about EB not responding to all of the crises that are coming up. And why didn't they fight? Why didn't they fight about that rigged election? Because then they'd be in charge and able to actually deal with us. I can't believe anybody trusts Rustad after his unwillingness to stand up and fight for what happened during the election, because there were clearly a whole lot of really, really strange things that happened. And Rustad was like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine. Let's move on. I can't believe we came to within a hair of winning." Oh, anyway, GST break passes in a late night confidence vote. The Liberals survived. The NDP propped them up, and everybody's getting a GST break. I don't think the $250 checks are coming, but that's neither here nor there. I don't think the checks were included in the vote, but we'll look at that as well. Liberal attack line is that Pierre Poilievre voted against a tax break for you, forgetting that so did the NDP Liberals when Pierre Poilievre put up removing the carbon tax in May. So I'll show you that as well. Christmas layoffs at universities and colleges. One of the things that the Liberals like to do is load bad policies with poison pills. And poison pills are increasing the hiring at universities because universities have all this money to splash around. So people get very good jobs being high paying jobs, right? Probably they're bored to tears all day, but they make so much money that they have to go in, right? Anyways, I digress. A good job means a high paycheck. And now all of those good jobs are at risk and gone because the universities and colleges can't bring in the foreign students who are making those paychecks possible. You see? So it was like a stimulus program using foreign students and their money to stimulate the universities to hire. And then all of a sudden the gravy train dries up and the incoming person, so in this case probably Pierre Poilievre, will have that mess to clean up and have to do something to, help jobs or help find these people jobs. And if not, then they'll have a situation with high unemployment, or they'll have some kind of economic consequence, right? And so poison pills are built into these people's plans, even though the bad policies come inherent with these bad poison pills, right? And it's not good, but if you see it, then you can actually plan to address it, right? So maybe Poilievre sees it. Australia passes the digital ID, and so if you have to prove that you're over 16 to access social media. So I think social media usage in Australia will tank. I think people will say, "F it, I'm not going to use social media, screw that." Or they'll use VPNs and log in that way, but I don't think people are going to do what the Australian government wants them to do. But we'll see. This is the next stage of the fight, and well, here we go. And I'm worried that the filibuster is over. And what do I mean by that? There's a whole lot of news, and we have to start with Trump. But I want to tell you what I mean by that first. Mark says, breaking, Van Kayak just moved a motion in the House. This is 20 hours ago. He just moved a motion in the House of Commons, seconded by Kevin Lamoureux, that essentially states all debating questions on the Liberal Green Slush Fund theft over $400 million by Liberal Party insiders and co-criminals be stopped. All debate on the Green Slush Fund theft over $400 million by the Liberal Party insiders and co-criminals be stopped and further investigation into the crimes be suspended. They're asking that the theft be covered up, hidden and forgotten by Canada. Folks, this is our government, corrupt and dishonest. This is what sellout Jagmeet Singh stands for in his corrupted soul, and this is what the NDP support and the Liberal Party supporters stand for. Pierre Poilievre, Canadian, blah, 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 blah. And Kevin Vung is asked, Kevin Vung, please fight this tooth and nail. And he says, yeah, it passed. And it's gone. So it's one of those things. Does this mean that the filibuster's over? If I understand this correctly, it seems like the filibuster is over on the Conservative Party side, and they won't be able to bring it back, so they'll have to do something else. So I hope they've got another trick up their sleeve. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at the online harms bill like Australia. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, Donald Trump says, "Happy Thanksgiving to all." This is yesterday, of course, including all to the radical left lunatics who have worked so hard to destroy our country, but who have miserably failed and will always fail because their ideas and policies are so hopelessly bad that the great people of our nation just gave a landslide victory to those who want to make America great again. Don't worry, our country will soon be respected, productive, fair, and strong, and you will be, more than ever before, proud to be an American, right? So he's funny. He trolls very well, like top-notch trolling. Who knows if he's our guy, but he is troller in chief. And so here is another troll from This is a meme. Donald Trump posted this on his page. This is real Donald Trump, right? And he posted this on his page, and it's dancing Trump. Of course it's dancing Trump. Here is Biden cutting the Thanksgiving turkey. Here we go.
If this turkey tastes half as good as it looks, I think we're all in for a very big treat.
Save the neck for me, Clark.
Okay, Adam.
AOC was in the background there. So it's Trump dancing, Trump's dance, right? And it's funny because it's taken over the world, this whole Trump dance thing. Everybody's doing it. Touchdown dances are doing it, everything. Pierre Poilievre is asked, if you're asked to go to Mar-a-Lago, are you going to that? Are you going to that party? He just kind of disgustingly walks out. He's like, what? Walks out. It's pretty funny. Here we go.
If invited, would you be willing to go to Mar-a-Lago before the next election to discuss these issues with Donald Trump?
I have not been invited to that, so thank you very much.
What? It's funny. It's funny because like they're just trying to open the door to let him talk about Trump, and then they're going to take it out of context and be like, Trump-loving Pierre Poilievre voted for a tax cut for you, right? Or didn't vote for a tax cut for you, right? That's what they're trying to frame him on now. So it's pretty funny and very interesting what's going on. Order 66. So I've talked about Order 66 for a while, and New York has stopped paying for migrants' food. They were giving them $350 a week for groceries, and so they've stopped that. So Order 66 is in play. I feel like this is one of those things that is predicted and like kind of obvious, and we're here, so that's weird. America AF says the shit's about to hit the fan, or this shit's about to turn into absolute chaos. The Biden administration was giving illegals free housing and $350 a week in groceries. And so that's stopped now. And here's just a quick report. I think this is Fox.
Illegal migrants in New York are now protesting after the city ended their free.
Oh, it's just like an AI thing. So, but that is happening. The mayor was talking about it, and there's all sorts of movement on that. And with Trump coming in, poison pill. Right? Like that's fundamentally what's happening here. Let's talk about the GST rebate, or the GST holiday for the couple of months from December 15th or 14th until February 15th. And it's terrible. It's an awful idea. The policy's bad. It should feel bad. Jagmeet Singh is trying to use it to justify opening up the House of Commons and allowing bad bills to get through, or bad agreements to get through, bad things to be passed. And so Melissa Lantsman's talking about that. She says, how dare he threaten his own MPs with consequences if they don't support his panicked and desperate attempt to delude Canadians with a cheap last-ditch effort to buy votes before raising everyone's taxes in April again. How dare he muzzle them? Liberal MP says he was threatened with consequences for opposing a $250 check proposal. So that's how they make people fall in line and threaten them with, you won't be reelected because you won't be campaigning under the Liberal flag. You will instead be campaigning under an independent flag. And, in Canada, we don't elect independents, strangely. Jagmeet Singh says, breaking, if you're reading this in the morning, it's 11:24 p.m. and we've just secured a GST tax break. For 2 months, there'll be no GST or HST on kids' clothes, diapers, more food, and other essentials. Conservatives tried to block it. We defeated them. Reimagining history while reimagining the present. For the record, an NDP government would make this a permanent tax cut and include monthly bills like home heating and your cell phone bill. But the home heating bill gets the carbon tax? What an idiot. What an honest to goodness idiot. And the other part is, he said the Conservatives tried to block it. We defeated them. And I said that's kind of reimagining the present. It's framing it in a different light. And I mean, like, straight up, that's true. The Conservatives did try to block it. They voted against it. The NDP, Jagmeet Singh, defeated them by voting with the Liberals, who nobody wants them to vote with, and propping up the Liberals, who nobody wants them to do that, costing Canadians more. There's a lot of negative consequences for this. But he's framing it as a win. But I don't think anybody else would frame it as a win, right? Like it's insane to do what we're doing in order to address the issue. You could address the issue much better by removing the carbon tax, but instead they're removing the GST. It defies all reason. It's insane. It's insane. Like lunatics run our run our government at this point in time, unfortunately. Melissa Lanceman again says, in a confidence vote tonight, Jagmeet Singh keeps Justin Trudeau and the Liberals in power to avoid an election and protect his pension. Again. Yep, that's what's going on. Robin Urbach says he's not wrong. So Mackenzie Gray says, Pierre Poilievre says that CPC will vote against the GST bill and are against sending the $250 checks out, calling it irresponsible and inflationist. Yes. Yes, that's accurate. And Robin Urbach says he's not wrong, but this is nevertheless fabulous news for the Liberals who are at this very moment scripting ads about how Poilievre voted against a tax breaks for Canadians. Yep. She nailed it. Exactly right. Here's the Liberal ad. She said that, what time? 11:48 a.m. yesterday. Okay. And by what time? 6:05 p.m. the ad was out. Okay. Breaking. The axe the tax guy refuses to axe the tax for the Liberals, right? This is their Liberal attack ad on Pierre Poilievre.
I thought you liked the idea of cutting taxes.
This isn't.
I thought you liked the idea of cutting taxes.
It's the Liberals used. Was it Liberals? The Conservatives used John Chrétien, Bell's palsy, against him in an attack ad, and it backfired. And Poilievre has a stutter. I have a bit of a stutter too. Sometimes sometimes there's a word in my head and I can't think of the damn word, so I come up. My mechanism to combat that is to come up with another word that's similar. So I use a thesaurus in my head often, but it comes out like a stumble, and it's kind of a hesitation word, right? So, and whatever, it is what it is. And he does it too. And I've seen him do it a lot. And most people just ignore it, right? Polite people just ignore it. And I mean, whatever, it is what it is. Speech is difficult. We're singing a song all the time. So it's interesting to watch them go after, we're inclusive and nice and all the rest, and we're not going to let him get his words out. We're going to show this mumble speech impediment thing. Weird, right? Like, yeah, classy guys, super duper classy. What? Right? Justin Trudeau says, Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives just voted against giving you a tax break. And Ryan says, so did you. Call an election. Parliament votes down Conservative motion to eliminate the carbon tax March 21st, 2024. So yeah, it's everybody's not wanting to axe the tax, right? In different venues. Interesting enough. The food professor says, breaking Liberals with their NDP support past 2-month GST break for Canadian consumers, a nightmare for grocers, a boon for restaurants, and a significant inflationary risk for consumers. And So He Kang says, there is no good reason for this GST break. Very little is gained, as seen from Andrew Chang of CBC. It creates chaos for retailers, makes expectations that are non-existent for consumers. It's not going to drop your bill by that much. And I'll show you on a $700 bill, it's like $30 or something like that, $20. I don't know who, $700 bill seems high for me. That seems like, wow, I wouldn't spend that much at the grocery store. What are you buying, man? But otherwise, the GST is not that much. And the price of your mortgage has gone up by like $1,200 a month, right? So here's $20 back. Why are you complaining, right? You're welcome. Merry Christmas. Unbelievable. CTV News says implementing the GST break for 2 months proving to be a nightmare for businesses. Yeah. Anybody who owns a business, who runs a business, who understands this, nightmare, absolute nightmare. Oh, the taxes this year, that's going to be super fun to remit, right? Like jeepers creepers. There's no GST here on these things, but on these things there's GST, but not on these things. Holy smoke. Mike Money Talks is responding to himself. He says, it does nothing to raise the incomes and productivity of Canadians going forward. It's straight economic terms. In straight economic terms, it's a bad package. It's a little bit today for a lot more pain tomorrow. So yeah, that's the overall consensus that I've heard of this whole thing. With federal debt at $1.3 trillion, $54 billion in interest payments, and adding $110 million a day with productivity cap falling along with capital investments and our competitiveness ranking. Question, can Canada afford a bad economic policy that adds $6 billion in debt? Answer, no, you lunatics. Here's another economist, and I don't know who this one is. This is David Dodge. I think he's quoted. I think he was one of the guys I was quoting in the last one. Yeah, Mike Money Talk says it's a little candy today for paying down the road. It's not just Pierre Poilievre who doesn't support this check giveaway and temp GST holiday. Not a single independent economist support it, including former head of the Bank of Canada, David Dodge. So here's just a little bit of this. Here we go.
Is this package in and of itself, in your view, inflationary?
I don't think that the most important question is it a package that is likely to raise the incomes and the real standard of living of Canadians? And the answer is that it's a bit of candy today with borrowed money, but it does nothing to raise the incomes and the productivity of Canadians going forward. So in straight economic terms, it's a bad package. It's a little bit today for a lot more pain tomorrow.
I guess why I ask about whether or not it's inflationary is because the government's messaging around this is it's a bit of relief, right? For people who may have an income, but and this is a very common feeling expressed to me, who are working, who have an income, but still feel like they are struggling really to stay on top of things. They're not thriving, they're surviving. Is there something inherently wrong with trying to cut Canadians a bit of a break?
Who cares? It's not cutting Canadians a bit of a break. I think we've established that pretty well. Pierre Poilievre says, Merry Christmas from Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh. P.S. They'll hike the carbon tax on April 1st on their path to quadrupling it to 61 cents a litre. So unnecessary. Here's what I was talking about. Brett says, with Trudeau's GST pause, Canadians are expected to be thankful for a measly $20 savings on a $785 grocery bill. Shove it where the sun don't shine, right? I don't need your measly $20. I'd like an election, please. I'll give you the $250 plus the $20 for an election. Let's go. Senator Husakis is responding to Vitamin D. D says, it's really disgusting that the only vote Trudeau needs in the House is Jagmeet's. We're in a hostage situation. And Senator Husakis says, let the last 9 years of NDP Liberal government be a learning experience. Canadians should never again trust the Liberals or the NDP with our wallets. What Trudeau and Singh have done to Canada is criminal. I agree. And I say that often. One of the reasons I wanted to highlight that is because often I say these people are committing treason. These people are traitors. These people are criminals and they belong in jail. And I'm not kidding. Like, they're committing crimes and they're changing the rules in the House of Commons to cover up those crimes, not the least of which is the most recent Green Slush Fund. They're covering it up and we're forced to watch them cover it up, right? And that sucks. Right? So I'm not being hyperbolic. I think that the letter of the law is being violated by these people, and I think they should be held accountable for that, period. And I don't think they should be held accountable within our legal system because I think our legal system is as cracked as they are. And so tribunals would be better. I think tribunals would actually facilitate justice, whereas our justice system would propagate more corruption, right? Would propagate more of this nonsense. So like, it's useless. It's absolutely useless. And I mean, that's a terrible place to be, to have no faith in our government, no faith in any of our institutions whatsoever. None whatsoever. Period. I wouldn't even really be surprised if police showed up and said, you know, you've had a little too much to think today. We watched your show, and you know, minute 9, they wouldn't even tell me. They'd say, yeah, well, we watched your show, and that's enough. You're going to prison, buddy. And I wouldn't even be shocked. I'd be like, yeah, I was expecting you. So like, I have no faith in these people, no faith in the institutions, no faith in the people to hold the institutions accountable, no faith in the law to hold the institutions accountable. They're an institution that's cracked too. So at this point in time, we're effed. We're absolutely effed. And most people don't even realize there's a conflict. No, most people are blissfully bopping along saying, oh, I'm going to get $250 in the spring. Like, oh my gosh, frustrating. Blacklocks reporter says, I've never seen numbers like this. With the invasion that's ongoing, they are upset. They are upset about that. But everything else, they don't seem to care or be involved or be interested in finding out more. Anyway, Blacklocks reporter says, I've never seen numbers like this. It coincides with anti-Israel street protests, but Immigration Canada won't say that. It's a collapse in a consensus on immigration. And so there's the podcast, but apparently the numbers are very, very bad and collapsing. And part of the reason is the amount of money that we are spending on this. And this should actually be further down in the invasion series of tabs. So we'll reset and do the money tabs now. Sorry about that. Food professor was saying taxes, particularly those tied to food, leave lasting effects. Whether introduced or eliminated or reintroduced, they alter market dynamics and often disadvantage consumers. And the food professor is responding to himself. This is more to do with the GST holiday. He says, while a tax holiday on food may seem like a gift to consumers, its ripple effect, logistical headaches for grocers, inflationary risks, regional disparities could leave consumers paying the price long after the holidays are over. The hidden cost of Ottawa's food tax holiday. It's official starting December 14th. Ottawa's 2-month GST-HST holiday will temporarily reduce tax to zero, offering Canadians a reprieve until February 15th. While this initiative appears to be a gift to consumers during the holiday season, it comes with unintended consequences that could harm consumers, retailers, and the broader economy. Under this policy, provinces with standalone provincial sales tax, such as BC, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Quebec, will continue to apply these rates. Meanwhile, provinces with harmonized sales tax, Newfoundland, Labrador, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Ontario, will see the total tax rate on eligible items drop to zero. Alberta, which already lacks a PST, will remain tax-free. At first glance, this may seem like a win for Canadians. Grocery stores will no longer charge taxes on snacks and ready-to-eat items, and restaurant meals will also see significant tax cut. However, the benefits of this measure are unevenly distributed. Minimum savings at the grocery store for the average consumer, grocery savings over the 2-month period are estimated at just $5. While this amount is negligible for most households, it creates a significant burden for grocers. Implementing system updates to reflect the tax holiday for more than 4,000 products on average will result in logistical headaches and additional cost. Retailers already operate on slim margins will likely feel the strain. Restaurants reap the rewards, inflationary risks, and market. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but you get the point. The whole thing is not very good. True North is reporting that Northvolt is going to go ahead with its plant. Northvolt, Alberta, says it still plans to go ahead with constructing its electrical vehicle battery manufacturing plant in Quebec, despite its parent company filing for bankruptcy in the United States and the CEO recently resigning. Do you know what this says to me? This says to me that there's millions of dollars in subsidies that these people want to get. They've set up their North Plant holding company, which is Northvolt holding company, which is Northvolt, Alberta, which is separate than the parent company. And they're poised to take all of those subsidies. And do you know how many batteries we're going to get? Probably you can count on one hand, right? Like 7. That's 2 hands, right? So like, I don't think that we're going to get very many batteries after this whole thing. There's been other situations where we've paid a whole lot of money and gotten, or in the States, they've paid billions and billions of dollars and got something like 2 or 3 charging stations out of it. And Buddy Gig was like, oh yeah, well, doing the infrastructure in the ground is really expensive and takes a long time. And that's why it took 4 years to build, and billions of dollars to build these 2 charging stations. It's the same kind of scam, and we are being scammed. Make no mistake about that. We are being scammed. So Northvolt sees green, subsidy, government green, and they're going to take advantage of it. Parent company's bankrupt? We're not. So subsidies, please. John Ryan says, meanwhile, Melanie Jolie's department, GAC Corporate, this is the Global Affairs Canada, ordered $523,000 worth of furniture in a one-day spending spree this past March 31st in order to use up their unspent budget on the last day of the fiscal year. This happens, the reason this happens is because if they don't spend that money, the next year they say, well, you didn't need, like you've got $500,000 here that you didn't spend, so you didn't need it. So we're not going to give it to you next year, and we're going to reallocate it to someone who does need it, right? And that's how it's kind of supposed to work. So, I mean, they needed that furniture in order to maintain that $500,000 budget. Where are we going to put the furniture? I don't know. Put it in some storage room. I don't care. We just needed to maintain that budget, right? Kelly Brock says, breaking, Global Affairs Canada spent over $500,000 on furniture in one day during the end of year spending spree. Today, I put a motion on notice to have Trudeau's bureaucrats answer for their callous abuse of taxpayer dollars. So we'll see. I'm not confident that anybody's going to be held accountable for any of the unbelievable spending that they're doing, right? Like it doesn't seem likely that they're going to be held accountable for any of that. Holly Doan says former, what is this? Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada Deputy Minister Andrew Noteworthy testifies, that's his last name, Noteworthy, testifies that he never reported inside dealing on corporate subsidies since he was not a lawyer. Audit confirms widespread conflicts in awarding of $856 million in subsidies. So the motion that I told you about at the beginning of the show prevents anybody from really looking into this anymore because that motion says you can't do that. So what? If there's criminality, nobody's allowed to look at it, and NDP and Liberals voted on it, so blackball beats it all. Ram-a-lim ding dong. Like, give me a break. Are you kidding? But that's looks like how it's going to work. So that's pretty crazy. Widespread fraud, widespread conflict $856 million in subsidies. Nobody's going to say a damn word, right? Everybody understands that if you speak up, you're done. You're done. So, and that means you're out. You're not able to keep your job, or you're going to be scapegoated and they're going to blame you for whatever they can blame you for. They're going to do everything they can to keep the grift going and walk you to the door. So if you like your job, you're going to stay quiet. If you like your cushy paycheck, you're going to stay quiet. Right? Globe and Mail is reporting, this is how Canada should deal with Donald Trump, irrational actor. Yesterday in the comments, somebody mentioned, so thank you for schooling me on why they keep calling him irrational. They're saying that the tariffs would harm the United States as much as they'd harm Canada. And so most people would not tolerate that kind of harm, especially with such an integrated supply line. And I think you're 100% right. That's exactly why they're calling him irrational. I didn't see it because I immediately saw what Trump's end game. Like, I looked at it and I saw immediately win-win for Trump. Like, Canada loses. If Canada doesn't play ball here, it's not like the states are going to have a bad time. The only people that are going to have a bad time is Canada, and maybe some blue states who don't want to play ball with Trump. But he's going to set up a situation where he's not going to drop the tariffs until he's got a replacement set up for the people that he wants to take care of. And as soon as he's got the people that he wants to take care of taken care of, tariffs are in. See you later, Canada. And it's not like he didn't warn us. It's not like he didn't say, hey, we want to do this. So he's going to onshore a lot of the USMCA stuff. He's going to have backups ready to go. And he's going to say, when this fails, just switch over to this. No problem. And it's going to fail in 2 days because I'm going to put the tariffs in. So I think he's got options. I think Trump's got a lot of options. They're calling him irrational. They're just not looking at it through the right frame. They're not looking at it with the right perspective. That's all. They think he's insane. And I think that he's playing a game 6 or 7 steps ahead of them. They just haven't realized it's their turn to move. Moron. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.